The financial system in America is a carefully crafted illusion, a system designed not to serve the people, but to enslave them through an endless cycle of debt and manipulation. Most people live their lives never questioning the very money they use every day, where it comes from, how it works, and who truly controls it. But once you begin to pull back the curtain, the truth is clear. The monetary system is nothing more than a hoax, an intricate game played by those at the top, where the rest of society is kept in check through deception. Today, we're going to expose the corruption behind America's financial system, unraveling how the debt-based economy keeps the nation in chains, who truly benefits from our labor, and how wars have been used to fuel an endless cycle of profit for the elite. Stay with me until the end, because this information might just change the way you see the world forever. American economics before the 1900s, before the 20th century. America's economic system was largely based on a gold and silver standard, meaning that paper money was directly tied to tangible assets. The early U.S. economy was decentralized, with states and private banks issuing their own currencies, leading to periods of financial instability. However, the core idea was that money had intrinsic value due to its backing by precious metals. Throughout the 1800s, several economic crises struck, including the Panic of 1837 and the Panic of 1893, caused by banking instability and reckless lending practices. In response, powerful financial elites began consolidating control, pushing for a centralized banking system. The late 19th century saw the rise of industrial magnates and banking families who sought to reshape the financial landscape to benefit their interests. By the early 1900s, these forces were fully prepared to implement a system that would fundamentally alter America's economic structure forever. War, the engine of economic control, one of the most effective tools of financial elites, is war. War generates massive profits for banks and private industries, as governments are forced to borrow heavily to fund military campaigns. The Civil War 1861 to 1865 is a prime example. Both the Union and the Confederacy relied on loans from banking interests to finance their armies. This war not only reshaped America politically, but also reinforced the power of central banking, as the federal government issued new forms of currency, such as greenbacks, which were not backed by gold. Similarly, the Spanish-American War in 1898 further demonstrated the economic benefits of conflict, as it expanded American imperial reach while funneling money into military production and corporate expansion. With each war, a pattern emerged. The banking elite would provide loans for war efforts, nations would go into debt, and industries profiting from war would consolidate more power. By the time World War I arrived in the early 20th century, this model was firmly in place, ensuring that war would remain a lucrative business for the financial elite. The buying of America, 1900s-1920s, at the turn of the 20th century, America was already being bought and paid for by powerful banking families. The Rockefellers, Morgans, and other elite financiers had consolidated enormous wealth and influence, allowing them to dictate the future of the U.S. economy. The early 1900s saw the rise of monopolies in oil, steel, and banking, and with it, an unprecedented level of control over American industry and government. The creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 marked the final step in cementing financial dominance. Under the guise of stabilizing the economy, this private banking cartel seized control of the money supply, ensuring that every dollar issued was tied to debt. One of the most notorious events tied to these financial titans is the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. While history books call it a tragic accident, there are theories that suggest otherwise. J.P. Morgan, one of the most powerful bankers of the time and a key architect of the Federal Reserve, had originally planned to sail on the Titanic but mysteriously canceled his trip at the last minute. Meanwhile, some of the strongest opponents of the Federal Reserve figures like John Jacob Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus were aboard the ship and perished in the disaster. Many believe the sinking of the Titanic was no coincidence, but a calculated move to remove these influential figures who stood in the way of the banking elite's agenda. With their opposition silenced, the path was clear for the establishment of the Federal Reserve the following year. This new central bank would go on to shape the economic landscape of America, ensuring that the power remained in the hands of a few while the masses remained enslaved to an ever-expanding cycle of debt. The debt system. A nation enslaved, the U.S. financial system is built entirely on debt. Every dollar in circulation is created through loans issued by the Federal Reserve, a private institution with no direct government oversight. When the U.S. government needs money, it doesn't print it, it borrows it from the Federal Reserve, which creates it out of thin air and lends it at interest. This means that for every dollar that exists, there is an equivalent debt attached to it. The more money is created, the more debt is accumulated. It is a system where the debt can never be repaid, only increased. To make matters worse, the fractional reserve banking system allows commercial banks to lend out far more money than they actually hold in reserves. This means that when a bank grants a loan, it is not lending existing money, but creating new money out of nothing. This constant expansion of the money supply benefits the banking elite while devaluing the currency and keeping the average citizen trapped in an economic hamster wheel. What happened to America's gold? For decades, Fort Knox was said to house the U.S. gold reserves, a massive stockpile of wealth meant to back the nation's currency. However, the truth behind Fort Knox remains shrouded in secrecy. The last public audit of its gold reserves was conducted in 1953, and since then, no one has been allowed to verify whether the gold is still there. Over the years, suspicions have grown that the gold may have been secretly removed or leased out to international banking interests. Some theories suggest that much of America's gold was transferred to private banks or foreign entities, leaving the U.S. with little to no actual reserves. Meanwhile, nations like China and Russia have been steadily accumulating gold, seemingly preparing for a shift away from the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. If America's gold is truly gone, then the entire financial system is built on an even greater lie than most realize: a fiat system with absolutely nothing to back it up. Politics and policies. The perpetual cycle of economic slavery. American politics has long played a central role in maintaining the economic slavery of the people. Politicians on both sides of the aisle, backed by corporate donors and financial elites, have ensured that policies remain in place to benefit the wealthy while keeping the working class in perpetual struggle. Lobbyists for major banks, pharmaceutical companies, and the military-industrial complex have infiltrated every level of government, ensuring that laws and regulations always serve their interests over the people's well-being. Tax policies, deregulation of Wall Street, corporate bailouts, and inflationary spending have all contributed to the deepening divide between the rich and the poor. Meanwhile, social programs that could genuinely help struggling Americans are either underfunded or demonized, keeping the public dependent on the very system designed to exploit them. The business of war, profiting from destruction since World War I, war has remained one of the most profitable industries for American elites. The U.S. government has spent trillions of dollars funding conflicts across the world, from World War II to Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Each war ensures massive profits for defense contractors, weapons manufacturers, and private military firms. The cycle is simple: create or escalate conflict, fund it with taxpayer money, ensure government contracts for private corporations, and repeat. The cost is paid by the American people through taxes and inflation, while the rewards are reaped by the financial elite. The truth is clear: America's financial system is not broken. It's working exactly as it was designed to, just not for us. It's a system of control, where the few dictate the lives of the many, ensuring wealth remains concentrated in the hands of an elite class while the rest of society struggles under the weight of debt, taxes, and economic instability. But knowledge is power, and understanding the system is the first step toward breaking free from it. The more people who wake up to this reality, the harder it becomes for those in power to keep their grip on society. If you found this information eye-opening, help spread the truth. Share this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and most importantly, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden forces that shape our world. Together, we can expose the lies and take back our financial sovereignty. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and question everything. Peace, love, and harmony to all.